Okej, god morgon allesammans. Välkomna till dagens webbinarie på Inverter Week. Idag har vi 2 personer från SMA med oss och det är de som står på agendan. Innan vi hör allt om SMA och deras växelriktade lösningar så ska jag väldigt kort presentera oss på Synergia, vilka vi är och vad vi skulle kunna göra för er. Lite praxis kring webbinarierna. Försök hålla era mikrofon avstängd. Ni får jättegärna komma med frågor. Skriv dem gärna i chatten. Det kommer finnas tid både under webbinariet och även i slutet av webbinariet att ta en del frågor. Så att, tveka inte om det är något ni sitter och funderar på under presentationens gång. Jag kommer vara lite moderator här mellan SMA-grabbarna som kommer presentera 2 stycken idag. Och ni kommer också få tillgång till alla PowerPoints efter webbinariet. De kommer vi mejla ut. Och jag tror även en inspelad version kommer vara på plats här senare under dagen. Den kommer vi lägga upp på vår YouTube-kanal. Så bara kolla efter Synergia där så kommer ni hitta den. Vilka är då Synergia som står bakom dagens webbinarie? Vi är din nordiska partner inom solenergi. Vi är aktiva på grossistmarknaden för proffs. Vi sysslar med materialdistribution och logistik. Det vill säga att vi bedriver ett eget lager från Västervik. Vi erbjuder projekt- och teknikstöd. Det vill säga att har ni något projekt som ni vill ha hjälp med? Hur ska jag dra mina strängar? Vad ska jag ha för paneler? Vilken växelriktare ska jag ha? Så hjälper vi er med det. Vi sysslar också väldigt mycket med utbildningen. Som till exempel idag där vi har en leverantörsutbildning. Tittar man på oss på Synergia så kan vi erbjuda allting för era solelprojekt. Vi erbjuder paneler, växelriktare, montagematerial men också batterilagring och laddstolpar till elbilar. Från vårt lager i Västervik så är det kortare transporter från Europa, vilket kommer göra att det blir lägre kostnader och snabbare leveranser. Vårt gods är försäkrat tills att det lossas hos er. Vi erbjuder stöd och leveransförmåga egentligen från lilla villan till stora solparken. Och vi erbjuder rådgivning, projektering och dimensioneringsunderlag på konsultbasis. Tittar vi på de utbildningarna som vi erbjuder så idag så har vi en produktutbildning med en av våra leverantörer, SMA. Vi erbjuder också partnersutbildningar, kundutbildningar som är skräddarsydda, kanske inom sälj eller installation. Och vi har också ganska stora yrkeshögskoleuppdrag på yrkeshögskolorna som finns runt om i landet. Under Inverter Week så har vi redan haft 3 stycken webbinarier. Idag är det dags för SMA och imorgon är det dags för Ferran. Så att jag hoppas verkligen att ni kan lära er mer om de här olika växelriktarna och vi på Synergia, vi erbjuder det marknaden vill ha. Likadant är det på montagesidan. Där satsar vi stenhårt på Van de Valk från Holland, men väl också 3 Systems för marksystem och även våra svenska tillverkare C.V. Lundberg och Veland Stål. På panelsidan så jobbar vi väldigt mycket med de stora Tier 1-tillverkarna Trina Solar, Fono Solar och Longi. Så har ni några akuta panelbehov så tveka inte att höra av er. Lagret är fullt i Västervik.
Welcome and good morning everybody, also from SMA's side. Can you briefly confirm that you can hear me, please?
Yes, we hear you, but we cannot see your presentation yet.
That's not a problem. I haven't started it yet, so
okay, everything is
that's
fine.
the next step. Okay, this should be the first presentation that you can see now.
Yes.
Okay. Before we start, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Tobias. I'm responsible for the SMA sales in Scandinavia. Until more or less today, I will hand over my responsibilities to my colleague Anton. Anton, can you also?
Yes. Hello. audience. My name is Anton Bittner, and as Tobias introduced me, I will take over his responsibility for the Scandinavian market from now. And Tobias, thank you for your support today. And I'm looking forward to a good webinar, and I hope the information we will provide to you is sufficient for you and you will enjoy it. Thank you.
Thanks, Anton. We have, first of all, a short company presentation. No worries, we won't bore you too long with facts and figures. Afterwards, we will have a portfolio presentation about our home and business portfolio, or formerly named residential and commercial portfolio. And afterwards, this will be presented by me. And afterwards, Anton will go into details of our new SMA Shade Fix campaign, which will explain why we made the decision not using any optimizers anymore in our systems. Maybe one or the other of you knows that in the past we also offer Taigo optimizers. Our inverters are still compatible with Taigo, but SMA does not sell optimizers anymore. We believe a highly integrated, sophisticated solar string inverter is the most convenient way forward in the long run. And Anton will explain details why. But before, let me start my company presentation. But the last but not least, before doing this, of course, also many thanks to Tim and his team for inviting us and letting us participate in this interesting inverter week. Well, first of all, now that I start, the future of energy supply has begun, and the future means it will be renewable and not based on fossil fuels anymore. I think this is clear to all of us, and this is also why we all participate together in this webinar today. What does that mean? Future of energy supply has begun. Of course, more and more people want to become independent. Independent in their energy supply. Mainly young people, and of course you are like the center and the hotspot of the Fridays for Future movement with Greta Thunberg and at its top. The younger people as well as older people want to see that energy supply changes and that fossil fuels are stopped. Why is that possible? Let's have a look first of all on the left side of the three diagrams. First of all, the change from fossil fuels to renewable energies is possible because solar power, but also others, biogas or wind, all renewables, became so cheap in comparison to the, let's say, old-fashioned energy resources like gas and coal. When you see in 2010, a megawatt hour of energy produced by solar was still at around $350 per megawatt hour. It is the red graph or the red line. And at around 2020, plus minus, we reached grid parity with solar in average all over the world. And in the future, you see that the prices for solar will even outperform gas or coal. Therefore, first of all, we are all on the right side of the energy industry. We will survive and we will have a bright future with solar. The second aspect that we see is a yearly increase in the installations. This is the middle diagram. There will be an annual growth in PV installations, gigawatts per annual, from around 120 gigawatts in 2020 to 200 gigawatts in 2025, and potentially even 300 gigawatts in 2030. Of course, these are only predictions, but however, I mean, these numbers were not made up by SMA, but by institutes and by research institutes acting and looking globally, and therefore it appears like solar is really on a growing path. And last but not least, storage systems compensate for the fluctuations that solar or also wind generate in the power grid. And here we also see a really strong increase over the next decades. And I think this makes sense. We also talk about hydrogen, of course, And Denmark, for example, is a leading country with regards to this technology. They, I think, are very acting forward in the way the government is promoting renewable energies and also the integration of renewable energies. Besides a general look onto the industry, of course, we also want to present the latest facts and figures about SMA. So first of all, on the left side, you can rely on SMA because we have already installed 85 gigawatts of SMA inverter power in over 190 countries all over the world. So we have an SMA solar inverter in nearly every country in the world. By the way, the company was founded in 1981 and is focusing on solar since the middle of the 80s. So we are in the industry for more than 35 years. And I think this is also a really good proof of our long-term commitment to the solar industry. 2 gigawatt of SMA battery inverter power have been sold so far. And on a later slide, I will also show you how SMA is positioned with this 2 gigawatts of battery inverter power in the global market. Overall, we have 1,500 or more than 1,500 patents and utility models that protect our knowledge and our R&D capabilities that we still have at our headquarters in Niestetal, close to Kassel, in the center of Germany. Maybe one or the other of you drove down the highway A7 in the past from north to south. And if you do this, you would pass by on the left side, for example, our really big inverter factory, where we also produce most of our string inverters and all of our central inverters. And last but not least, 3,000 employees, more than 3,000 employees worldwide are promoting SMA, are selling SMA, but also servicing SMA, of course. The key financials 2019 show a 915 million euros turnover with an EBITDA of 34 million euros. So back to a positive result after we had a quite hard time in 2017 and 18. And the first time in SMA's history, we sold more than 10 gigawatt of inverter power in 1 year. And I think this is really, really impressive because 11.4 gigawatt, this equals more or less, depending on the size, but equals more or less 10 coal power plants or 10 nuclear power plants. And those 10 nuclear or 10 coal power plants does not need to be installed because there are 11 gigawatt of inverter power out there from SMA. For 2020, SMA sees itself on the growing path, and we expect a turnover of 1 to 1.1 billion euros with an increasing EBITDA of 50 to 80 million euros. Despite of Corona, we are still positive about these results. The supply chain from SMA's side, more on the delivery side, on the logistics or on the procurement side, is still up and running very positively. We had almost no impact by Corona and the shortage of material supply from Asia. So you can also count on reliable deliveries and reliable delivery times from SMA, of course, through such a good distribution partner like Synergia. 4 more slides about SMA. I think this slide is really interesting and impressive because it shows that SMA is a pioneer in PV and storage system technology for 35 years. This is what I said earlier. But just a few, I won't talk about every product, but just a few picks here. In 1987, SMA develops the first transistor inverter for photovoltaics. Back then in 1987, by the way, this was before I was born, we already developed a solar inverter, but this inverter was connected independently to each PV module. So back then, you could consider this as an optimizer for each module. In 1995, SMA developed the string technology that we know until today, and that is, of course, what became the common standard in the industry. the string technology, connecting more than one PV module in series, and then operate the PV inverter on a higher voltage, in a higher on a constant current that is created by this PV string. 2001, we already developed the first solar inverter which can generate its own grid. The Sunny Island series was becoming alive. This off-grid inverter is available in its 6th generation still today. Then we reached high efficiencies. We developed a fuel safe controller which can manage diesel gensets and the injection of PV. And then in 2015, we started our journey in the field of energy management. For the first time, the Sunny Home Manager integrates households, appliances into the energy management system. And lately, we developed the Core 1 inverter, which maybe one or the other of you knows. And in 2018, we launched the NXOS, Energy Next Operating System platform, which establishes the first Internet of Things platform for cross-sector energy management. We'll also talk about this a bit later. And at the same time, SMA also made a really good corporate development journey. In 2000, we already founded our first subsidiary in California. In California, back then, we had really good subsidies for PV. We went public in 2008 with the largest initial public offering, with the largest IPO on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange in Germany. We already more than 10 years ago, we started production in the world's largest carbon neutral inverter factory. We are in the very deep cooperation with Danfoss, and we also learned that the cooperation in different fields when it comes to energy management and to energy implementation is really important, because for some years we thought, okay, let's do the whole energy sector by ourselves, but we found out this is impossible. There is heating, there's e-mobility, there is wideware, there are so many different things you need to control. Therefore, the communication between different appliances is much more important. And here, SMA is also taking a leading role, talking about this in a few slides. What do we do with our solar inverters before we bring them to the market? SMA is very reliable, even under the harshest conditions. For example, we have, of course, state-of-the-art test centers. For example, on the left side, you can see our old electromagnetic compatibility test lab, EMC test lab. Right now, SMA is investing approximately 5 million euros into a new test center so that we can also test our 40-foot sea-containerized large-scale solutions sufficiently. I mean, the Core 1 is fitting here, but the 40-foot sea container is not fitting. Therefore, we build an even larger test center. And for example, I know that EMC is an issue in Sweden, and the authorities are looking very closely. Lately, there's been a newspaper report that the installer needed, that the end customer needed to, or private house owner who invested into a solar system needed to remove his solar system because of EMC that was sent out by the PV system. You can account that SMA will always apply all international IEC standards to fulfill requirements on EMC. So you can be 100% sure SMA is compatible to the Swedish requirements, and you won't have any problems with this. We do, of course, comprehensive functional tests, and this in the end ensures highest quality and, most importantly, longevity in any environment. So maybe as an example, on the right side, you see Sunny Central inverters, large-scale inverters, but I saw pictures from Norway where the Sunny Tri-Power Core 1 was installed on a roof and almost covered fully by snow. And then the installer sent pictures to me and asked me, hey, is this still covered by the SMA warranty? And is this okay? I mean, you say I can place it outside on the roof, and I did it. And I cross-checked this with the product management. Of course, it is okay because it's natural cooling for the inverter. This is actually perfect. Sustainability is really important to SMA. We produce our own energy with about 10 megawatt PV plant power that is in our own assets and on our own roofs. In Germany, we cover 40% of our energy demand by solar. And of course, the rest of the power that we consume globally is always 100% renewable energy that we procure from local energy provider. We have 58% less energy usage per kilowatt of inverter power that we produced than 4 years ago. So also in our production, we try to avoid energy usage wherever possible. And yeah, beside the 38 or roughly 40% of the electricity demand that we have and that is covered by PV systems, we of course also do customer surveys where we got answers from 50,000 customers, and we try to be 100% transparent on our sustainability efforts, while we also have a separate sector in our company report, for example, 2019, which is only looking in sustainability questions. Last but not least, last slide about SMA. SMA is leveraging our system expertise and our digital abilities to develop sustainable solutions in important future fields. You saw that we developed a string technology. You saw that we developed first solar storage systems, off-grid systems, fuel safe controller, smart energy management, and so on. But also when it comes to future segments like storage, like e-mobility, and like cross-sector energy management or Internet of Things, SMA is always playing a leading role and is defending its technology leadership. On the left side, you can see, and it could appear like these are fake figures, but they are not, they are real. SMA in 2018 sold approximately 300 to 350 megawatt of battery inverter power. In 2019, we increased this to 1.1 gigawatt. And the next competitor is at around 200 megawatt. So the largest, what this diagram wants to say is the largest storage systems in the world. This can be a 50 megawatt power, 50 megawatt hour capacity system in the UK, which is helping to balance their large island grid because they are not connected to the rest of Europe. There is a 50 megawatt power, 50 megawatt hour storage plant up and running with SMA technology. In Texas, we are currently building a 200 or delivering solutions for 250 megawatt hour storage system to integrate the huge load of renewable energies into their local grid. In Sweden, I know it appears we don't have the most suitable storage solutions for residential systems. On the business segment, we are very suitable. I will show some details later on, but we will also come up with a more suitable solution for the Swedish market during 2021. This is all I can say for the moment, but keep an eye on the SMA product launches. Also, the mobility sector is of course really important to us, and therefore we have our own SMA EV charger, which is not just an EV charger, but a highly integrated and highly intelligent EV charger, where your end customer, for example, can choose between different charging modes. Do you want to charge only by solar? Do you want to do fast charging? Or do you want to charge the car based on weather forecast that the system receives and knows, for example, okay, it's a Saturday, you don't want to move your car anymore. It should be charged in the evening, but in the morning hours, we still have a bit of rain, but during the day, noon and afternoon, the sun will come out. So let's wait with the charging until the sun is shining. And last but not least, SMA Internet of Things energy management platform NXOS is the basis for new business models, yes, but most importantly for cross-sector energy management. So if you want to manage e-mobility and heating, for example, NXOS is the platform to use. This is all about SMA. Then let me open the product presentation for the home segment. But in the meanwhile, of course, I would be very keen to hear questions if you have any.
It's quite calm in the chat, but I will have a look at the chat and see if somebody has a question.
I mean, it was the company presentation. Let's go forward with the more detailed look on the products and the solutions that SMA can supply, and maybe then some questions occur.
That sounds great.
Okay. So I think today we should focus on the home segment and on the business segment. Therefore, we have two presentations, one for home, one for business. If I go into too many details, please raise your questions. If it's not detailed enough and you have more specific questions, please also let me know. It's a bit difficult to find exactly the right level, I think, for all of us, but everybody who's listening wants to learn something. And therefore, please let us know if you have, for example, more detailed questions, or if I should scratch a bit more on the surface before going into details. First of all, before I go into the presentation, in the last years, SMA recognized, for example, also through the survey that I mentioned, where we asked 50,000 customers globally for their opinion about SMA, we found out that SMA sometimes appeared like not the most customer-oriented company. I strongly believe that SMA always has, and will have, from the technology point of view, the best solutions. But we take this point from our customer survey that we don't market enough, that we don't put our customers enough in the focus. Because of that, we have launched different activities, and we, first of all, also increased our marketing staff to be better understandable. And one of these results is that we recognize the installer, the PV installer, as the most important partner in the whole value chain towards the end customer, because in the end you're making the decisions. You as an installer make the decisions which products to use, and therefore we want to be a good partner for you and make it as easy as possible for you to use SMA solutions. Saying this, I want to talk about the slide, because SMA wants to provide and is providing already a 360-degree business support for you as an installer. We can support you in all steps and in all steps of the project life of a PV system. And this starts with the planning phase, of course, with the planning and consulting of your customers. Therefore, we launched the new SMA 360-degree app, which is part of the 360-degree business support. And the 360-degree app, which will be available in Sweden in July, is helping you to, for example, take all data that you collect in the first conversation with your customer. You can type in all the data, which roof size, which roof angle. You can measure this with the sensors of the smartphone. You can take all these data that you collect into the app, and the app is automatically transferring the data into our free of charge Sunny Design tool. Sunny Design is a very long-term design tool that is in the market for probably almost 2 decades, which is always improved, and where you can do your designs of SMA solar systems free of charge with a huge database of PV modules and very, let's say, easy handling of the tool. During the consulting, you can, like I said, use Sunny Design. When it comes to installation and operation, we have commissioning services. We have, of course, also the Sunny Portal, where you connect all the PV systems. So Sunny Design helps you to design a system. Sunny Portal is the monitoring system. The Sunny Portal will help you to visualize the system for the end customers with a specific end customer access. But it will also help you to have all SMA systems that you have installed as an installer at one glance in Sunny Portal. During the commissioning, the SMA 360-degree app is helping you a lot, makes it very convenient to commission an SMA inverter. And the good thing at SMA is, despite of the fact if you install a Sunnyboy 1.5, so single phase inverter, Sunny Tri-Power 5.0 or 10.0, home Tri-Power 3-phase inverter, or a 50 kilowatt inverter, for example, the Core 1, it is always the same procedure when it comes to the commissioning. And this makes it very convenient for you. During the service and maintenance life, the Sunny Portal Professional is also again on your side. Professional just means that there is a cost-based upgrade, which gives you even more details. In this monitoring segment, you can use Sunny Portal. Like I said, you as an installer can use Sunny Portal to have an overview of all your systems. The end customer could also be transferred to Sunny Places, which is an end customer portal, and the SMA Energy app. And then you can also increase your customer loyalty while, for example, using upselling possibilities. In the end, I mean, we are not that far in the Swedish market yet, but after the lifetime of a PV system, approximately 20 to 25 years, you can do repowering of SMA. We will always ensure to have a compatible solar inverter available. And you can also, for example, sell warranty extensions to your end customers. And warranty extension is an interesting aspect because you can also extend the warranty of a PV system, of a PV inverter from SMA after 4 years, 11 months and 30 days operation. So you don't need to procure a warranty extension immediately when you install the system or when you buy the solar inverter, but you can keep the system running for 4 years. And then you can knock the door of your end customer again and say, hey, it's now 2024. Do you remember? It was me who installed the PV system on your roof 4 years ago in 2020. And how is your inverter going? Oh, it's working fine, perfect. Do you want to have a warranty extension for another 5 or 10 years just to make sure that even if something fails, we are not a company which is free of failures. Nobody is in the world. Potentially, maybe something fails. Don't you want to think about the warranty extension? This would help you to knock the door again at your end customer and see if there is anything else you can do for him. The SMA Energy System Home, how we promote it to the market now, is consisting of different components. I will go into details, but first of all, what does it mean for the end customer? It is reducing energy costs, of course. We all know PV is cheap. It is increasing the independence through self-consumption. So the energy, even if you don't do intelligent energy management, the energy is used naturally, locally, and this means you increase your self-consumption. You have high transparency about potential optimizing of energy flows. So this shows even more saving potentials. You can control, you can invest in a controlled manner. So you can do with SMA home solutions, you can go step by step. And you are definitely ready for the future when it comes to e-mobility, energy trading, maybe in the future, and other things. First of all, before I go into details, I want to show you the different steps that the SMA home energy system can achieve. First of all, we start with the generation of solar power, no doubt, installing PV panels on the roof, connect them to a solar inverter and generate power. It saves electricity costs of up to 40% already, depending on the energy consumption, on the load profile of a household. It makes the end customer independent of the power supplier. We talked about natural self-consumption, and yeah, not so much in Sweden, but in other countries you can secure a feed-in tariff over a long time. Therefore, you get the investment support in Sweden, a bit different model, but still you also get some money for the energy that you feed into the grid, right? Then we come to the storage of solar power. The saving of electricity costs increases. The independence also increase, self-consumption increase, and the energy costs overall are further reduced. The next step would be to manage appliances intelligently in an intelligent way. For example, Bosch, BSH, Bosch Siemens Hausgeräte, is a partner of ours. There are many others you will see on the next slides. And you could control, for example, the dishwasher in an intelligent way very easily while installing the Sunny Home Manager from SMA, which is the intelligent control unit, solar inverter, and then the dishwasher is connected through, for example, if you build a new house, through Ethernet connection to the router, or also through a Wi-Fi solution. And then you can only press the button or activate the dishwasher, but the home manager will switch on and off the dishwasher and make sure that the dishwasher is running when the sun is shining, so that you operate the dishwasher with energy that you produce by your own. Same is possible with a dryer, same is possible with a washing machine, same is possible with a heat pump, same is possible with the charging of your e-vehicle. So, and you see that these are all comparable big loads in your household. And if you can manage to switch them on and off, always depending on the sunshine, this can really increase your independency from the grid operator and from the utility company, and can help you or the end customer to save electricity costs of up to 80%. How is that possible? It is the EE-Bus initiative. EE-Bus is an initiative that was mainly driven by SMA in the beginning, and now you can see, and these are not all of the companies that are participating, how many companies are joining the EE-Bus initiative. Just a very quick summary: the initiative develops internationally harmonized communication standards for intelligent networking of home appliances and energy efficiency applications. All appliances featuring the Uniform Communication Standard EE-Bus can participate easily and automatically in energy management. Smart home owners benefit from efficient energy use for all connected appliances. And yes, smart home is a very, very wide range. It can start at healthcare, where you have automated healthcare for example, for old people, where you don't need to have human beings anymore to keep an eye on them. This is some kind of smart home. Talking to my TV and telling him, hey, TV, please switch on, is also some kind of smart home. But we see the largest benefit of smart homes really in the usage of intelligent energy and the connection of different appliances in a household. For example, I think, feel free to Google or to search for EE-Bus on the internet, and you will immediately find the page of the initiative. I think also Fronius is now a part of it, but for example, also Costal, and then other companies like Schneider Electric. Here you can see SMA, but Viessmann is a part, Weiland is a part, E.ON is a part, which is of course known to you. So there are a lot of different Mennekes charging stations, Miele. There are a lot of different companies joining this initiative, because everybody understood in the meanwhile, if renewables wants to succeed, there must be a smart integration of this energy into the households. And this is only possible if it's connectable, if it's connectable and if it's usable for appliances, and if appliances can be managed and controlled in a smart way.
We had a question in the chat right now. Does this need a permanent connection, or can this be handled only internally in the house, or is it connected through internet, or how does it work?
The home manager, which is from SMA's perspective, the intelligent brain for smart home, the SMA home manager, has the ability to learn the behavior of a household. For example, the home manager can differentiate between days, working days and weekend. And it learns the behavior, it tracks the behavior of a household. And if there is no internet connection, the home manager is operating in a so-called fallback mode. So it would also work without a permanent connection, but usually also, for example, to, of course, visualize the data in our Sunny portal, it would be recommendable to have a constant internet connection. I wait a little moment if this answers sufficient.
Yeah, the one who asked the question says thank you, so please continue.
Yes, okay. And yeah, having this little excursus about the EEBus initiative and the intelligent management of appliances, we now come to solar power heating, where we are compatible and in a really deep cooperation. If you look on the SMA homepage and look for the SMA Home Manager, you will find a list of compatibility with, for example, different appliances, where we have a whole sector which shows compatibility with heat pumps and with warm water solutions. We have today compatibility, a very close cooperation with Weiland, Stiebel Eltron, Tekalor, Wolf, and MyPV. Heating rods from MyPV and heat pumps from the other 4 companies. Of course, we are extending this network day by day. Okay, maybe not day by day, but we try as good as possible to extend it. And the, for example, I know it's a frequent question, NIBE, for example, from Sweden. There's not a high compatibility. Of course, there's a, let's say, a standard compatibility. You can operate a PV system with SMA and you can operate a NIBE heat pump. But for example, we hope, and I hope that more and more companies will join this EEBus initiative, because it appears like this is really becoming the standard, the communication standard for many, many companies in the future. And what does that mean if you control a heat pump in an intelligent way? I mean, of course, a heat pump is a huge energy consumer. Therefore, we have a warm house, so it's worth it, definitely. But of course, you can reduce your heating bills and automatically power your heat pump or heating rod with your own solar energy. And this is what is possible with SMA. And then last but not least, there is e-mobility. And we are compatible for a long time, deeply integrated with Mennekes, but we are also the preferred partner for Audi and the whole new Audi e-tron fleet that is now launched to the market and which you might have seen on the streets already. So if you go to an Audi car center in the future and the end customer wants to buy an Audi e-tron, they would get a recommendation if they want to build a PV system, because nobody wants to drive an e-vehicle but charge it with energy produced by a coal power plant, but everybody wants to charge it with solar energy. And if they ask for a recommendation, Audi will recommend SMA, because our, again, Sunny Home Manager is deeply integrated into the energy management of the Audi e-tron, and we can charge the e-tron in a very intelligent way, as I explained before. So this accounts for Audi, this accounts for Mennekes, but of course, most importantly, this accounts also for our own EV charger that I will show in a few slides. Oh, well, of course, there, besides refuel with solar power, there's then also the aspect of monitoring and manage energy. The SMA Sunny Places, again, Sunny Places is focusing on end customers. You can connect the PV system to Sunny Places and it will look like on the tablet view here. And you can also connect the PV systems to Sunny Portal, which is more for the professionals like you solar installers. And then we come to an overview, how we think a smart home can work. And right now I'm planning to build my own house. And I hope I can fulfill all these functionalities that are shown here. It is already a lot, but the positive and the good thing is, like I said before, it is scalable. The end customer can easily start just with a solar inverter, put PV panels on the roof, put a small solar inverter from SMA, and start to generate solar power and optimally use it for self-consumption, potentially while integrating a little home manager. If you have a home manager, you can make all energy flows visible, because the home manager is not only an intelligent manager, but also a meter. So it's connected to the grid connection point. And all of a sudden you can see, okay, I have my energy bill from last year was 10,000 kilowatt hours. And now the home manager is only measuring consumption from the grid of 7,000 kilowatt hours anymore. This means 3,000 kilowatt hours have been immediately used by my PV, generated by my PV system and used locally. This is just nice to get this visualization of your energy demand and your energy behavior. In addition to that, we also cooperate with Edimax. Edimax is a manufacturer purely focusing on sockets, on power sockets. And you can, for example, if you have an old dishwasher, and we understand not everybody wants to replace all whiteware only because there is now a home manager from SMA integrated. So you can use, for example, Edimax plugs, power sockets, connected in between the socket and the dishwasher. And then this socket will measure the energy consumption of the dishwasher, but can also trigger the dishwasher potentially in an intelligent way, so that even if you have an older device, it can be managed intelligent based on PV production.
Tobias,
yes, please.
How much plug and play is this if you want to install a new heat pump or a smart appliance? How much job is it for a homeowner? Is it plug and play, or is it a bit of coding to get it working?
No, it is. I mean, of course, while doing such an installation, doing it the first time is always more difficult, like doing it the third or fifth time, no doubt. This is same with us here in Germany when we're installing IKEA furniture, you know.
Yes.
If it should be easy, first time is more difficult than the fifth time, no doubt. But basically it is plug and play. So if you go, for example, into the home manager and in the commissioning wizard of the home manager, it is asking you, is there a heat pump? And then you can say yes or no. If there is a heat pump, yes, then you open the drop-down menu and it says other heat pump or Weiland 123, Stiebel Eltron 123. And if it's one of the ones that is part of our compatibility list, then the connection between the devices is standardized, and this makes it really easy to use. And then it is plug and play. Yeah. Okay, but thank you for the question. This is of course important that it's easy, and you can trust we try to keep it really as easy as possible for our installers. Coming to the other fields, store power provided when needed is important, of course. So you can see another little Sunny Boy storage, for example, from SMA battery inverter and the LG Chem battery. You see a heat pump. I won't go through all the details now because with keeping an eye on the watch, I also want to give Anton, of course, enough time and space to show the shade fix campaign. Now coming to a product overview. I only talked about the functionality so far, but what are the products? Mainly in the home segment, we talk about the Sunny Boy 1.5 to 6. This is single phase inverter and the Sunny Tri-Power 3.0, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10. These inverters are all based on the same communication platform, on the same commissioning wizard. And this is very positive for you because lower training expenses. You don't need to train yourself on different product lines and product types because they are different in the way you need to handle them. Excuse me. No, they are all the same. This also leads to fast installation and to a really high quality of the installation. It is quick and easy to use the products. Quick installation due to low weight and external connection. So you don't need to unscrew, for example, a lid or open anything. All connectors are outside. Compact design for minimal space requirements. These are all new developed series. So they are really thin and really small in comparison to the previous versions. They are definitely more convenient because you have the free online monitoring via Sunny Places, Sunny Portal. Intuitive commissioning via smartphone and tablet is possible. You have, not in all countries, unfortunately, automatic inverter monitoring. This is not available in Sweden yet, but hopefully in the future. And we have a local monitoring via smart inverter screen. I will come back to this functionality, smart inverter screen, because you see there is no display on the inverter anymore. And we know that some customers want to have a display. We have, I think, a quite convenient solution for that. And Then we have high yields with the product, most importantly because of SMA shade fix that Anton will present. Here's a list of compatibilities. Basically, we talk about Web Connect. This is our monitoring protocol. We have parallel operation of maximum power point trackers. The Sunny Boy 1.5 to 2.5 has only one MPP tracker. You are allowed to install up to 3 kilowatt single phase units in Sweden. So if you have, for example, a small summer cottage where you want to install a really small PV system, keep an eye on the Sunny Boy 1.5, 2.0, 2.5. But all the other inverters have 2 MPP trackers so that you can do parallel operation. We have integrated Wi-Fi and Ethernet in all inverters. We have shade management with SMA shade fix in all inverters. We have dynamic active power limitation. Sometimes you have a maximum fuse size, or you're only allowed to feed in a maximum power of several kilowatts, but you want to utilize more energy locally. For example, 12 kilowatt peak system, 10 kilowatt inverter, but you're only allowed to feed in 5 kilowatts. Then the home manager at the grid connection point is always monitoring the feed in. And as soon as there's more power feeded into the grid than 5 kilowatts, the home manager will report back to the inverter, and the inverter will automatically reduce its power within 1 to 2 seconds, or 1.5 to 2.5 seconds to be very precise. And then we have smart inverter screen. The smart inverter screen, what does that mean? We have a QR code on each inverter, and if you stand in front of the inverter and you scan the QR code, the inverter is generating automatically a local Wi-Fi. So despite of the fact if you are connected to the Wi-Fi or not with the inverter, maybe there is not even a Wi-Fi in a household where maybe, for example, older people live, but the inverter itself can generate a Wi-Fi, a local Wi-Fi hotspot. And then the smartphone is connecting onto the inverter, and automatically on the browser, this page, the smart inverter screen is opening. So you see basically this on the inverter, on the smartphone. You see the device status is okay. This looks like it's a 10 kilowatt inverter because it's almost at its maximum with 9,522 watts. You see the daily production, and you can then also change between day, month, year, because those data are also stored on the inverter. So in the end, we don't have a physical display because a physical display is always a potential failure, and it is expensive. We want to reduce the cost for our products, the price for our product, and therefore we have the smart inverter screen now. I think a really convenient solution if somebody wants to have somehow a display because the app is not enough and they don't have internet at home. Consider smart inverter screen, standard functionality integrated to the SMA solution. And then we come to the Sunny Home Manager. I mentioned that very often, but it is one of the key components in an SMA system. It is a fully automated, optimized control of all household loads, efficient use of home appliances such as washing machines, dryers, and dishwashers for periods in which the PV system is providing enough solar power. I think I explained or tried to explain this before. You can integrate heating and e-mobility. It can optimize your self-consumption. And this is really important, it gets weather data, or it enables a weather data-driven visualization and the connection of all energy flows in the home in a single smart system. The home manager gets a weather forecast based on a zip code. So we don't want to have the detailed address of system operator. We are 100% clear on data protection and data policy, but the zip code is enough to get a sufficient weather forecast. We get the weather data from a Swiss company, and then based on this, the home manager can proactively and intelligent manage energy flows if this is something the end customer wants to have. Here again, an overview of the compatibility with our most important partners. Heat pumps, water heaters, charging stations for electric cars, washing machines, dryers, dishwashers, and switchable sockets for the flexible connection of loads. This is again EDIMAX. And then also talking about e-mobility a lot, here is the SMA EV charger. It comes with a 5-meter type 2 connector, 5-meter cable type 2 connector. We think this will be the standard in the future. Fast and optimized charging of e-vehicles. By the way, it comes with an overload protection. Again, mentioning the maximum fuse size that some households have, or that actually all households have, but depending on the fuse size, sometimes you're close to a limit. For example, if a maximum fuse size is 25 amps, and we are charging the car and have maybe one or the other appliance up and running, and we are already close to 25 amps, let's say 24. And then the wife is cooking and the man is using the vacuumer because he wants to clean the house. And we have 2 additional high loads. All of a sudden we could come above 25 amps and blow the main fuse. This is monitored by the home manager. Again, it is monitored by the home manager. And before we come above 25 amps, because you can give the home manager this value as a maximum, he will throttle down the charging power of the EV charger when the car is plugged in. So it is a really intelligent EV charger in connection with the home manager, not a dumb EV charger. The slide is still saying available in Q1 2020. Sorry, I will change this to Q3 because we had a little delay in the product launch, but in September it will be available. And here you can see, for example, how Sunny Portal would visualize a home. For example, we see here different loads. The green one is a Mennekes Antron charging solution, in this case not an SMA. Then we have different purple, lighter purple. We have different heating rods. We have a refrigerator in blue, which is monitored through a socket. Then we have an air exchange system, lighter blue, bit of TV and entertainment. And on the lines show, for example, battery discharging, but of course the yellow one, typical PV curve. So this was a perfect day. And you see all these appliances were planned accordingly by the home manager, and not this peak, maybe here in the morning hours when there is not enough PV production, but everything is smoothly planned into the PV production curve. Again, short overview of the home solution of the home system. Sunny Boy and Sunny Shrike Power solar inverters. We have not talked about storage because this would probably now go too far if you also consider this in the discussion, but Sunny Boy storage is compatible with BYD batteries, with LG Chem batteries and others. There's the Sunny Home Manager and there is the SMA EV charger. And again, the good thing is it is scalable. You don't need to install everything at the same time. You can start with a solar system, you can add a home manager, later you can add a battery system, and last but not least, you can add a SMA EV charger, and it's always compatible to each other.
Is it possible to do it the other way around? Start with the EV charger, for example, before you install your PV system?
Absolutely. You can also install the SMA EV charger independently from a SMA home system, no doubt. It is, most recommendable from my point of view would be, but this is only in a perfect landscape, would be to install the home manager and just keep the home manager running for a year and get a very, very clear overview of the load profile of a household. You can use this load profile, taking it from Sunny Portal and uploaded it to Sunny Design. And then you have a specific load profile of the specific customer, of the specific household. And based on this load profile, you can start to plan the optimized PV size and the optimized storage size, for example.
So basically a customer that wants to use a smart EV charger from SMA can use the Sunny Home Manager and the EV charger as 2 standalone products before they are ready to invest in a PV system, for example. So it's basically a standalone without PV.
Absolutely, yes. It can also work independently from a solar system, yes. Nice idea, by the way. I mean, of course, getting a visualization and the overview of your energy behavior, including an EV charger, is a totally different picture than without an EV charger. I mean, EV charger is consuming a lot of energy. And based on this load profile, we could go forward and plan the PV system.
How much data can you get out of the home manager? I see a question here in the chat, like what data do I get? Is it current voltages per phase and frequencies, and like how much can you get out of the home manager? Can you use it as for example, as an analysis tool? And how high will the resolution be?
The home manager is collecting the data from different appliances in the household. The data that were now requested, for example, what is the voltage, what is the current, what is the AC voltage, what is the frequency on the AC side. This is all measured by the inverter and transferred through the home manager into Sunny Portal. So you can get these data in Sunny Portal, but in a very high resolution. For example, what is the different voltage on string input A and string input B? With this resolution, you can get this only with Sunny Portal Professional, with the professional package of Sunny Portal. Because we think for most of the people, it is not that relevant, but the data are available. But these are not steered through the home manager, but by the solar inverter. Okay, this is the last slide of this presentation. Actually, we also wanted to have a look on the commercial portfolio, but first of all, I would like that we talk about SMA shade fix, because this is, I hope it was interesting for everybody to get this insights to the SMA portfolio. But the SMA shade fix campaign really makes a difference. I mean, the SMA portfolio is very complete, very wide. You can get all, actually all systems and all, you can get all systems done with SMA. I'm absolutely convinced. But you also saw now, and you also see it on the slide, system and product overview, there are no optimizers anymore. And why there are no optimizers? Why we believe that a Sunny Tri-Power 8 kilowatts with SMA shade fix is doing a perfect job is something I would like Anton now to present, because this really makes the difference. I know also Fronius, for example, has a quite good energy management, but SMA shade fix is a differentiator that we want to present. And therefore, now I would hand over to Anton, and if there is more time afterwards, we can continue with the commercial portfolio and potentially also with Sunny Design. If not, we are very happy to make a follow-up webinar with you where we talk more about the larger solutions independently from today's presentation.
Perfect.
Thank you, Tobias.
Perfect.
Tim, you wanted to mention the question, right?
We had a question regarding, is it possible, for example, to add extra data in, for example, the electricity price? In Sweden, we have a common electricity market in Sweden, Norway, and Finland, for example. So would it be possible to add extra data feeds into, for example, that I will not charge my electric vehicle if the price is too high?
There is the possibility of a day and night price. You can't add, let's say, 10 or 15 different price models, but yes, you can add a high price and a low price tariff and tell the system, hey, prefer to charge when there is a low price tariff.
All right, perfect.
And this is a really good question. Thank you for raising it. It is also possible to add in Sunny Portal, for example, the price that you usually need to pay for sorry, not Sunny Portal, but I mean, okay, well, one step after the other. First of all, like I said, the SMA portfolio is wide. We try to streamline it and we try to make it as understandable as possible. I talked about hardware and I talked about the portals. I only briefly mentioned the SMA 360-degree app the app for the installers. Besides, SMA will in the future have only two apps, one 360-degree app for the installer and one SMA Energy app for the end customer. And for example, in the SMA Energy app, which will be launched also this summer, there will be the possibility for the end customer to add the price that he's paying for energy when purchasing it from the grid. And this will help the end customer also to get visualization in a very convenient, easy, understandable way about the energy savings, the cost savings that he or she is achieving with the solar system. So make a long story short, yes, you can consider energy prices in the analysis of a PV system and in the management of a PV systems and the management of appliances.
Perfect. Thank you, Tobias. And Anton, the stage is yours.
Thank you. So you see my presentation?
Yes.
I think. Perfect. So Tobias told about our vision of PV systems, and it is string technology. And how do we deal with shaded situations? I would like to present in this few slides. SMA's shade fix. Yeah. The next performance of PV performance optimization. The SMA shade fix. SMA shade fix is a patented integrated software solution that optimizes energy yield in PV plants. SMA shade fix outperforms most conventional hardware solutions for shade management in PV systems. Three main changes. It's not only about shading, it's about the performance of the PV plant that optimizes through our patented MPP tracking. So MPP tracking is included in all devices, all inverters, but our MPP tracking is the most efficient. The second point is it's about integrated software. There's no additional products in the field which can cause failures. Yeah? That differentiates us from all competitors. So, and no defense and no settlement. SMA shade fix makes no compromises. That means no compromises on performance and yield. SMA shade fix offers highest performance on yield for PV plants under most shaded conditions. That is shown in a study of the University of Southern Denmark. A professor made a study where he compared two conditions. One was SMA string inverter, and the other was with optimizers, MLPE, module level power electronics. And the study showed that the SMA solution with a software-based shade fix is more efficient than the MLPE solution does. There's no compromises on safety and risks. Slim plant design with no extra components on the roof reduces risk of fires or serious injuries. And this is shown in the TÜV Rheinland in cooperation with the Fraunhofer ISE Institute. They made also a study about safety and risk and showed that the less components on the roof, the more safety and less risk occur. And we do not do compromises on quality and lifetime. Only one central piece of technology in the system, proven by SMA quality and automatic inverter monitoring. SMA Smart Connected ensures minimum downtime, investment, and service costs. So, in the next slide, I would like to show you how it works. SMA ShadeFix scans the power curve of the PV system at irregular intervals within milliseconds for the global maximum power point, global MPP, which you can see on the upper orange point. And in case of shading, several local minimum power points, the right point in the graph, occur in the course of this power curve, which without SMA ShadeFix would lead to a reduction in yield. So you see the power point which is operated in the right and upper point with local MPP is less than on the global MPP on the orange point. And SMA ShadeFix ensures that the inverter always finds the global maximum power point and thus always generates the highest possible yield from the solar supply. What is the magic about this? At the upper example, you see the yellow current flow is flowing smoothly and everything is fine. No shade is on the PV system, and the orange point global MPP is fixed. And if partial shade occurs, the PV array on the shade on the PV system occurs, and you see the current with the yellow lines through the PV panels is less, and so we can see the local MPP is on a lower point. The partial shaded PV array, all modules limited to the power of the shaded module, and the bypass diodes are not active. And what SMA ShadeFix does, partially shaded PV array with SMA ShadeFix, all modules except the shaded full power. By choosing the best working voltage, SMA ShadeFix forces the bypass diodes to bypass shaded modules, typically up to 20% more energy yield per year. So you see the shift in voltage to realize the global MPP bypasses the last module, which is shaded, and the rest of the PV system is running fine, and so we can do this 20% more energy yield per year. The proof of this SMA ShadeFix is shown by the professor Franke from the University of Southern Denmark. In the graph, you can see the annual energy yield and the degree of shading. The blue line shows SMA ShadeFix conditions, and the red line, you see conventional module optimizers. And what is important about this, in 95% of all PV plants, you have a little shade or even no shade. And this is where we outperform the module level power electronics. So what does Professor Franke say? The common marketing claims of additional energy production by applying optimizers could not be confirmed by this experiment. In fact, there are only very few scenarios where the use of optimizers improves the system performance. So the last 5% on the right side, you see here with heavy shading or medium to heavy shading. In addition, the risk of failing components in one of the many MLPEs should not be underestimated. Finally, the addition connectors for the optimizers come with risk of bad connections that could lead to a failing system, or even worse, to be the root cause for fires. So then with this statement, we come to the next slide. The majority of PV plants are built in unshaded or minimal shaded areas, and there the solution with string inverter and only the one MPP tracking is outperforming the MLPE solutions. If we see the left example with no shading on the roof, of course the SMA shade fix and the SMA solution outperforms the module optimizer solution with in case of yield. So the red and orange graph shows the yield with SMA shade fix, and the darker one is the yield with module optimizers. And the more shade occurs, for example, on the second roof with one chimney, the energy yield even with shade fix is less, sure, and but still outperforms the module optimizers. And even more shade on the roof, we see the less energy yield, and still here SMA is outperforming. For the last example with heavy shade on the roof, I would ask the question, who would install such a PV system where almost 2/3 of a PV array is in shade? It doesn't make sense. And there the module optimizers outperform the SMA shade fix, but that's totally okay. It's only 5% of all PV installations. And one explanation why the energy yield is higher with SMA solution. Every module optimizer behind one PV module consumes energy. And if you have 20 module optimizers in one string, you have 20 times energy consumption per module optimizer. And with our solution, you have only one energy consumption, and this is based in the inverter, and it's software based. It's no hardware which you have to install on the roof. And yeah, as said, the less components, the more safety on the roof. And here's the study of the TÜV Rheinland and Fraunhofer ISE Institute is shown, and some statements. SMA shade fix outperforms optimizers. No compromises on safety. Often safety components like fuses and switches are integrated in the DC part of PV systems. In the individual case, it must then always be checked whether the measure is really necessary. So is it really important to know which is the energy production of each PV module, or is it enough to have it only in the inverter? Each additional component poses the risk of additional contact points and other sources of fault. A leak system with a few components as possible has the advantage of having fewer points where damage could occur to the system. So this is exactly what we are believing in. The less components in a system, the more safety and the less risk that damages could occur, fires, or even fallouts, PV fallouts. Yeah. Furthermore, additional electronics in the roof massively increase the risk of service cases in local climatic conditions. A slim system design with string inverters is therefore recommended for the long term. One aspect I would like to point out is the point of sustainability. What does it mean to have a lot of components in systems? So you have more material, you have more production electricity or manpower, which has to be implemented to have this system. And with SMA, you only have this one device. And even if the device is out of lifetime, is damaged or something like this, you ship it to SMA. The inverter is getting cleaned, refurbished, and set to the market again as refurbished inverters. So there's no throwaway of the components. We refurbish it and getting it back to the life. No compromises on lifetime. SMA avoids whenever possible the use of unnecessary electronic components that are installed on the roof. All necessary yield securing and yield increasing technologies are therefore integrated directly into the inverters on a software basis. Reducing the number of components used keeps potential sources of error to a minimum, therefore ensuring the maximum lifetime of a PV system. Should the inverter nevertheless fail, our intelligent service ensures quick replacement. This strategy has been proven by over more than 30 years of experience and almost 80 gigawatts installed capacity. And if you see the example plant on the right side, the SMA solution shows as an example for a 50 kilowatts installation with 200 modules. There are approximately 2,000 components in this system. You see the core one at the downside, and compared to the components in a system with module optimizers, you see it's around 30 times more components, more material, more installing time, and there are more connections and more potential failures. So the SMA shade fix optimizes the performance without compromising safety or the lifetime of a PV system. It reduces cost and complexity of a PV system as it integrated into almost every SMA inverter. It increases performance and yield. It increases safety with reduced risk. And it improved quality and extended lifetime for the system. So thank you for that one. Are there any questions regarding shade fix?
Everything was clear, Anton.
Okay. Just a second. I will stop my presentation, Toby. I think we have still enough time for the residential product portfolio. Would you please go on? I see a question.
Yeah, perfect. You can take it right away.
the question is from Johan. Thank you for that. How is ShadeFix different to OptiTrack Global Peak? It's a rebranding. It's the same functionality as OptiTrack Global Peak, but we see the necessity of rebranding this functionality. We have it in our inverters for, I think it was launched in 2008. I have to check it. It's always in our inverters, but now with MLPE forcing us to rebrand it and to give it a new name, and we think SMA ShadeFix is it's time to market it because it's a good product. Yes, it's a good software feature. And this, Johan, I think, I hope if the question is answered. And there's another question from Jakob. Will Tigo still work with SMA inverters in the future? Yes, it will. But we will not support promote the cooperation as we did in the past, because we came to the conclusion there's no need for module optimizers in a well-designed PV plant.
Maybe I can add a comment here. You're totally right, Anton. Please only keep in mind, technically, we are compatible with the Tigo optimizers. So the Tigo optimizers can optimize PV module, and the optimized string and the optimized current will be utilized by the solar inverter. But not sure if this question, Jakob, also refers to the compatibility or the integration from a communication point of view. So in the past, there was a Tigo optimizer, and in case these optimizers should also be monitored, there was the gateway on the roof, and usually you need to run a RS485 cable to the so-called Cloud Connect Advanced. And the Cloud Connect Advanced is integrated, the function of the Cloud Connect Advanced is integrated to the SMA inverter. And in the future, with the new Tigo series, TS4A instead of the RA, the compatibility with regards to communication won't be existing anymore. So then it will be again the case, there's a Tigo optimizer, which can optimize the PV modules, which are heavily shaded in very long time, or you have very difficult roof setups. Then maybe as a small niche, it might be the case that an optimizer should be applied. And then first of all, the optimizer can do this without any communication, and it is compatible with the SMA inverters, yes. But when it comes to monitoring, please keep in mind that the new Tigo generation won't be connectable to the SMA inverter through the RS485 cable. You will need the gateway on the roof, and you will need the Cloud Connect Advanced. But this accounts only for communication and visualization. As long as there is no need for visualization of a Tigo optimizer, it is working perfectly. And otherwise, just keep in mind you need the communication components from Tigo, and don't connect or don't try to connect the RS485 cable from the gateway to the SMA inverter, because this won't work. Okay, Tim, should we also maybe take the RP question that I can see on the chat?
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect time for that one. So the question was if it's possible to connect or access the data from SMA through an API.
The answer is yes, this is possible. The data, the bowl where you would take the data from is the Sunny portal. So first of all, you would need to connect either the SMA inverter directly to the router. I mean, like I said before, I talked a lot about the home manager, because we believe with intelligent energy management, we as SMA can differentiate from others. But also the solar inverter itself is such a robust, good inverter with SMA ShadeFix as presented by Anton. And either you connect the inverter directly to the router, or you include also a home manager. Nevertheless, what you do, the data must be in Sunny Portal. The system must be connected to Sunny Portal. And an API would access to Sunny Portal and to the plant that is set up in Sunny Portal, and then takes the data from Sunny Portal to some kind of a third-party application through the application programming interface.
Yes, but it will not be possible to use SMA Home Manager with any other inverter, as Henry had a question about here in the chat as well.
No, the SMA Home Manager is working with SMA inverters. So there's the SMA internal data protocol, Data 2+. It can, of course, to external devices speak through EE-bus, as I mentioned before, but this is only for energy management. The integration of Huawei inverter to the SMA Home Manager is nothing we planned for, because as far as I understand, API is used for data transfer, for monitoring of data in a third-party application, but not for proactive control. So if you would have a third-party system which is monitoring everything, of course you can integrate the data from SMA through API, and you could integrate the data from Huawei through an API from Huawei into an overall monitoring system. But this overall monitoring system is not the SMA system. It can be with the data manager and with NXOS. This would be something I can talk about now for the last 20 minutes. But yeah, I hope this is answering the question.
Yes, you did. So I think that you could, if you have more slides that you want to show us, please go ahead.
Just a moment. Okay, this presentation is talking about the business solutions from SMA. Before we had SMA home solutions, we had SMA ShadeFix, and now we come to the business solutions. And also here in the business solutions, SMA ShadeFix is always integrated, despite of 2 or 1 inverter line that I will show you now. First of all, we need to ask the question, what is the application that we are looking at? In the last month and maybe last year, I noticed a strong increase in the demands and in the questions regarding free field installations. So we see an increase of free field installations in Sweden. If this is the case, and it is a really homogeneous flat land where you have always the same setup, we recommend to use the Sunny High Power Peak 3 as a 100 kilowatt device with 1100 volt DC input, or as a 150 kilowatt device with 1500 volt DC input. On the other hand, on the left side, we have the Sunny Tri-Power series, and they have ShadeFix integrated. The only inverter in the SMA portfolio which has ShadeFix not integrated is the Peak 3. On the left side, you have the Sunny Tri-Power series with the Sunny Tri-Power TL30. It's the 3rd generation of the Tri-Power. This is why it's called TL30, 15, 20, 25 kilowatts. And then the very proven, well accepted Core 1 inverter, which was definitely another invention from SMA some years ago in 2017, 18, when we launched the product, because it's the world's first freestanding solar inverter that you can place immediately on the roof, which has huge benefits. For example, as you can connect DC, of course, to the inverter and run out with AC, and then run only with AC into a house into a building or into a house, because this sometimes makes a huge difference with regards to the fusing and the security, the overvoltage protection and so on, that you need to realize. If you keep DC outside the building, sometimes it's much more convenient for you as an installer. And the TL30 inverter and the Core 1 they have shade fix. This segment, this product family will get a bigger brother in very near future. I'm not allowed to talk about details because we have a huge launch event, and we will also have the SMA Let's Talk Energy, which is our substitute for the Intersolar, which unfortunately was cancelled this year for a good reason. As an alternative, we have the SMA Let's Talk Energy online event on the 22nd and 23rd of June. And by the way, it's off topic, but also very important. Of course, you will receive all the presentations that we have shown. We will provide them to Tim and his team, and Synergia will share the presentations with you. And at the end of one of the presentations, maybe at the end of the company presentation, I would propose, we put more links on the one hand to our Solar Academy and to our free of charge webinars that we show there, where you can find more suitable webinars for your demands. And we will also put a link for the SMA Let's Talk Energy event, which will take place in 2 weeks. And then we will launch the first time officially the bigger brother in this product segment here, in this portfolio. So please follow this launch, because it will, for all of you who are installing PV systems in a commercial landscape, it will definitely be a really, really nice product. The technical data of the inverters are interesting, but I don't want to go into details because I think you can look through this afterwards. Maybe only one comment on the optional DC surge arresters. Keep always an eye on this functionality, because if a surge protection device type 2 is integrated as an option, you can plug and play, you can plug it in, and if it fails, if it triggers, if there is an overvoltage that is catched by the DC surge arrestor, then you can remove it and put in another one. We know that with competitors, sometimes this is not possible. Only if a surge arrestor makes his job once, afterwards you need to remove the whole inverter. Not the case with SMA.
Yeah, and we should mention, Tobias, that it's mounted on a DIN rail within the inverter, so it's already prepared to mount. So that's just for your information.
Thank you for the comment. Absolutely, yeah. Different functionalities of the inverter, where we could now also go into all the details, but then we would probably talk the last 15 minutes only about the functionalities of a TL30 inverter. But I would also like to take a look on the Core 1, which, like I said, is hopefully known to most of you. However, with its 6 MPP trackers and 12 string inputs, it is a fuseless design. You can connect always 2 strings to 1 MPP tracker without additional fusing. And here you can not even integrate the type 2 SPD, but you can even integrate a combined type 1 and type 2 surge protection device, which is even a higher protection class. And again, we have different options for this inverter, as we think integrating all these options would increase the price for the inverter, but most of the time, or in maybe the majority of the cases, you don't need all the functionalities. And so you can choose from Synergia's web shop if you want to have an optional display or RS485 module for integrating it to, for example, RS485 communication landscape, optional sensor module. Attention, sensor module does not mean that this is a sensor. It only means that the sensor module can be integrated to the inverter. If you remove the left or the right side of the housing, of the cabinet, I'm not 100% sure, you remove it, you plug in the sensor module, and then you can connect external sensors to the sensor module, a wind sensor, irradiation sensor, and then these data will be transferred through the existing communication of the tri-power, of the Sunny tri-power core 1 to the Sunny portal, and you don't need to set up a separate communication line for the sensors. You don't need to set up a different portal. It can be all data can be transferred and visualized through the existing communication line of the core 1 while connecting the sensors to the core 1. And to connect the sensors to the core 1, you need the sensor module. An optional I/O module would mean that you can connect or that you can connect the inverter to the utility company's ripple control receiver, for example, to slow down the inverter in different steps. I think it becomes more and more relevant in Sweden as the utility companies are claiming or are wanting to have such a functionality. And what we also have is an optional mounting kit, because I think on the next slide, I will come here, but then let's talk about this in a minute. The optional mounting kit will help you to install the inverter not only on the ground, because we think there's one of the best use cases to install it freestanding on the flat roof, but not always there is a flat roof. Sometimes you have, for example, a carport installation or whatever. You want to save the space on the ground, then you can lift it with the mounting kit. But again, we talk about this in the next slide, not this one, but the next slide. You have, again, quick summary, 12 direct string inputs. You have 6 independent MPP trackers, integrated DC connectors, completely accessible connection areas, optional AC/DC surge arresters, direct access to yield data via PC, smartphone or tablet, communication via Ethernet, Wi-Fi, RS-Wi-Fi and Modbus, and 2 sockets, 2 module areas where you can integrate the sensor module, I/O module, or RS-Wi-Fi module. It's nice to see. I was not even aware that we have this web server here, but maybe we can do a quick excursus. Okay, now this is not working. But what we will do is we will implement into the presentation a link for this web server. Unfortunately not working right now. But this is a wizard which shows you the... Can you still see my screen?
Yes, but not in full screen anymore.
Ah, okay. Thank you. Now again?
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks. We will update this link because it is showing the commissioning wizard. It is a dummy, but it is showing 100% the real environment when commissioning an SMA inverter from step 1 to step 8, or depending on the inverter, maybe step 9, if you can integrate, for example, additional sensors with the core 1. And this will help you to prepare yourself when installing SMA inverters the first time. Maybe some of you did already, maybe others not. But with this web server, you can go through the commissioning wizard as in real environment one time before you go on site and do it in real environment. And now here this is a bit illustrated, but you can see the mounting system. Today it looks different, but this would be the use case where you can lift the inverter, for example, to top of a pillar so that you can use the space below. And this universal mounting system, as we call it, is also something that you can get from Synergia as an option for the core 1. Then you see the installation on the roof and you see an installation on the ground. This is basically where we see the usage of the core 1. Again, the split, we have seen the slide before, so no need to talk about details. SHP 100, 150, no shade fix for ground mount installations, that's it. And then STP 15, 20, 25, STP 50 for rooftop installations or more complex installations. So you need more MPP trackers, because this one on the right has only one MPP tracker, because we are absolutely convinced on free field ground mount installations, single MPP tracker inverter are most sufficient. I will skip the peak 3 technical data. and also the diagram for the installation, because I think we are probably, the audience is more focusing on let's say business installations, rooftop installations, commercial installations, and not so much on ground mount. If you have questions, feel free to contact Tim and his team at any time. And we also can support Tim or can support you directly, but we don't want to skip the Synergia guys, because yeah, first of all, of course, they are also able to answer a lot of questions on SMA products, and otherwise we connect between Synergia and SMA. 10 more minutes left. I think this is very sufficient to talk a bit about data logging, monitoring, and online visualization of the SMA solutions, of the business solutions. The home manager was mentioned a lot for the residential home segment. The alternative for the business segment is the SMA data manager. The SMA data manager is the hardware that you see here. The software, the IoT platform is NXOS, Energy Next Operating System. This is a new Sunny Portal. The older Sunny Portal Classic is in the market for, again, roughly 2 decades. And this got a refresh, now called NXOS Sunny Portal, or Sunny Portal powered by NXOS, however you want to take it. And for all SMA inverter, there's always the same rule. You can connect up to 4 SMA inverters. 4 Core 1, 4 Sunny Boy 1.5, doesn't matter. Up to 4 SMA inverters, you can always connect directly to a router and visualize those 4 inverters in a Sunny Portal plant without any data logger. If you have 5 units and more, meaning 5 inverters and more, you will need an additional data logger to collect the data, to pre-collect the data, and then send it centralized to the Sunny Portal system. I know there's a 255 kilowatt peak cut in the regulations in Sweden. 4 Core 1 inverters would do a perfect job here. You could connect those 4 Sunny Tri-Power Core 1 without a data manager, but the data manager through Synergia, please don't nail me on that, but I would say costs you around, Tim, do you know the price from your?
I actually don't know it by heart, but I would say that if you're planning for a battery installation or to control, for example, if it's a grocery store, you want to control the freezers and the refrigerators, then I would consider, and perhaps maybe I would say loads and other energy sources, then I would definitely consider the energy manager, the data manager, I mean.
Yeah, thank you, because you're absolutely right. As soon as there is only a little idea of doing a bit more than only producing PV power, it would definitely be recommendable to include the data manager M, even if you have only 4 Core 1 inverters, and you could visualize them directly in Sunny Portal without a data logger. But I think, let me make a guess, just a rough guess. And like I said, please don't complain if it's 400 or 500 kronas more or less, but maybe it comes at around 8,000 krones, Swedish krones. So 600 to 700 euros. I think something like this must be the price through the Synergia sales channel. And this is, by the way, also the same with other distributors. So it is in the total system costs, it is a really, really low aspect, and therefore it brings a lot of benefits. Because, for example, you don't need to configure and to commission every inverter independently. You can do this centralized through the Sunny, through the data manager M. It of course provides improved grid system services like zero export, for example. Maybe you're not allowed to feed into the grid with an additional meter. The data manager will ensure that you don't feed into the grid. It can do reactive power transition functions like Q set points, Q on demand, cosinus phi, dynamic cosinus phi, and so on. Reactive power in relation to voltage changes on the grid. So it's a really sophisticated device with a lot of technology integrated, and it's probably worth to have the data manager with every PV system in the commercial segment. It has open interfaces. You can, for example, connect ripple control receivers to the data manager as well to the core one. But if you do it once to the data manager centrally, then you don't need to do it for every single inverter. It speaks Modbus TCP, and it just gives you a lot of flexibility. The user administration is also easier because we have one central administration account in Sunny Portal anyways, and you would access the data manager through the Sunny Portal account. But again, it is only one device that you need to access, and which then communicates further to all inverters that are in a system integrated. Talking about Sunny Portal powered by NXOS, it is a modernized Sunny Portal. This is summarizing it quite well. There is the former Sunny Portal Classic, and then there is a new facelift, modernized Sunny Portal, but also much more functionalities together with the data manager and then in the old portal. For example, the navigation and administration in Sunny Portal of different plants is, I think, better visualized. You have inside views to portfolio and plant analyzers. And again, configuration and commissioning is much easier through Sunny Portal powered by NXOS together with the data manager. How could a system architecture look like? This maybe is a bit overwhelming at the first glance, but let's have a look. We start at a central point. There is the SMA data manager, which is communicating, for example, with an external ripple control receiver or a third-party SCADA system. The SMA data manager is connected to the internet physically, to the router by Ethernet connection. And the data are transferred to the Sunny Portal powered by NXOS. Maybe the grid operator wants to take control through internet on the data manager, maybe through the third-party SCADA. We do SMA service and updates through the internet connection to the data manager. And you could also list this third-party portals in the data manager. So the different, I know there was a question on the integration, for example, of a Huawei inverter. In the home segment, we are not aiming to do that. But with the data manager, we want to become so flexible that we can also integrate into our data manager landscape and into the Sunny Portal powered by NXOS. And by the way, Sunny Portal is still the largest monitoring portal in the world for PV systems. So for good reason, people want to have also third-party inverters into our monitoring portal. This will be possible in the future with further firmware releases of the data manager. So this is the external world, either via Ethernet or Web Connect. Web Connect is the SMA communication standard. And then on the, let's say, system side, we have, for example, SMA energy meter, which is measuring the grid connection point. Alternatively, or in addition, a generic Modbus meter, an I/O system, potential protocol gateways, which are all connected through Ethernet to the data manager. Then we have, of course, by the way, an inverter, which is usually applied to such a system, solar inverter, maybe a Sunny Island battery inverter or a different battery inverter, all which are connected to the data manager. And then there's a possibility of also connecting SMA gateway, because in today's products, we don't apply the RS485 communication standard anymore. But in the past, SMA was operating on the RS485 communication. And RS485 communication can be transferred to Ethernet communication through the SMA COM gateway. And then an old plant, for example, could also be integrated into this new Sunny Portal powered by NXOS landscape through the COM gateway and through the data manager. I hope this is explaining a bit the complexity of this system architecture, because saying again, SMA is in the market for 35 years. 35 years ago, it was not a standard to communicate via Wi-Fi or to communicate via Ethernet. Back then, we had actually the RS232 standard applied to our products. Later, it became the RS485 standard. Then we also had a short time where we communicated via powerline, PLC. We don't believe that this is the right way forward, because PLC is also impacting EMC. And the other question is, have you ever seen a power plant, which, I mean, outside solar, for example, a larger power plant like from the fossil fuels, which is communicating on power line communication? We don't think so. So we believe keeping communication and power lines separated from each other is in the long run the more convenient and stable way. Yeah. So I hope this was a good explanation of the whole system architecture that you could apply with the data manager. I mean, you can also install the data manager, connect, like I said before, 4 core 1 inverters in a daisy chain, one to the other inverter, and then run it to the data manager, connect the data manager to the router, visualize it in Sunny Portal, and then you have only 1, 2, 3 steps actually in this whole architecture, and you can leave out the rest. These are only options that we show. And then we also have the storage solutions in the business segment, but as it is 10 o'clock, I would propose that we stop the presentation here, because we have used now the 2 hours with a lot of information. If I summarize once again, SMA has a very wide portfolio. SMA has a very reliable, high quality portfolio. We are producing in Germany. We are headquartered in Germany. We are fulfilling data security and EMC standards that are applied in Europe, no doubt. We have the Sunny portal powered by NXOS for sophisticated energy management in the business segment. We have the home manager and the EV charger, for example, to mention only 2 very sophisticated products in the home segment. And most importantly, we have SMA Shade Fix, which eliminates shading impact while at the same time reducing number of components, reducing risk of fire, increasing the longevity of a PV system, and also from sustainability aspects, it is definitely the best way forward to use a highly integrated and sophisticated PV inverter instead of many little optimizers which can fail, which are thrown away, and which don't make a positive impact on your whole system. Thank you for participating in the webinar. And like I said, we will share the slides, of course, afterwards. We stay for another 5-10 minutes, however, or how long you want to stay us, so that we can answer remaining questions if there are any. Thank you.
Perfect, Tobias, and also thank you, Anton. As we said, we have a lot more to speak about, so do not hesitate to contact us if you want to schedule either an appointment or if we should schedule another webinar, for example, within the battery technology or something else interesting that you are thinking about. Yeah, as Tobias said, we are more than open for more questions, and to everybody else, have a great day and a great weekend, and enjoy the sun here in Sweden. I'm looking over my back now and see a perfect blue sky. So take care, everyone, and if you have any question, please stay here and ask it, and we will answer them. Yeah, thank you everybody who participated.
Lucky you, it is the sun is shining in Sweden. So it's time to come up again.
Sometimes it happens.
Visit you doing trainings together.
Yeah, when Corona is over, it will definitely be an SMA training.
Yes, we will do so.
Not
so you're lucky. It's raining over here in my place.
Yeah, same here. I don't know if Henry is still in the call, but there is one more question I just see. Is it only a logging overview system? What happens if this unit fails? Can the solar plant continue to produce energy? Henry, if you are still there, yes, this is the case. It is only for data logging, data analysis. if the data manager fails, it is not impacting the power production of the PV inverters.
Perfect. Since we don't have any more questions, I will close the webinar. Thank you once again, Anton and Tobias. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you to the audience.
Yes, thank you, and likewise.